Welcome to the TDC Today Show communities. My name is Sue Roscoff. The Disability Channel, or TDC, is out of Toronto, Ontario, Canada, showcasing abilities. TDC is committed to providing quality digital media production services, education, and employment programs by and for persons with disabilities and veterans. TDC offers digital media production, video production, post-production, social media, and podcast creation, production, and support. TDC offers education and employment programming, which includes digital media courses to persons with disabilities who are unemployed and underemployed. TDC also offers community partnerships. Through partnerships and sponsorships, community partners and organizations become ability champions by supporting media created by and for people with disabilities and veterans. We are part of your USA team, and I am so excited to be here tonight. This is New Year's Day 2025, and we have an absolutely amazing gentleman joining us this evening. But to bring him in, I'm going to start out first by bringing in Emily Golmer to do some introductions. So Emily, come on in. How are you doing tonight?
Good. Welcome, everybody in Canada and the Disability Channel. It's good to be here as always. But our guest tonight hails from Arizona. We met through networking, and is a life and habit coach and helping social influencers and so on. But I'm gonna bring him in here to have him tell you a little bit more. So welcome, Max.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Excellent. So glad to have you joining us tonight.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
So if you could just share a little bit more here, tell us what it is that you all do. I know I had a little bit of a sneak peek before this, so I'm excited to be able to share you with the TDC community.
Yeah, no, of course. Thank you. Yeah, so I'm Max. I am a life and habit coach. I run a community for social media influencers within the realm of like 5 to 50,000 followers. Um, sorry, 5,000 to 50,000 followers, not 5 followers. I don't know if they'd be doing much influencing then. Um,
Not until they
but
work with
we
you.
what?
Not until they start working with you anyway. They have a ways to
Exactly,
go.
exactly.
They've got goals.
Um, yeah, so I run a community there that's focused on helping social media influencers become better versions of themselves. So I run a platform where they can connect with each other, collaborate, share strategies with each other, as well as receive business coaching, habit coaching, life coaching, and we have self mastery calls and accountability calls as well. So really just helping them to level up and grow as much as they can there. It's great. I love it.
Excellent. Well, so and I gotta ask, what is your favorite part about what you do?
My favorite part about what I do is being able to watch people realize how large of a capacity for change they actually have. Um, I meet so many people who, for whatever set of reasons, they just don't realize the control that they actually have over their lives and the situations that they're in. Um, and they are not living up to their full potential because they have previously at least thought that they couldn't, right? But showing people how much control they actually have and how high of a capacity they have to influence change in any area of their lives that they want. And just kind of like watching that light bulb go off in their heads, like that means the world to me. And then once they actually go out and execute based off of that, it's just incredible. I've seen some some people, even just in the course of a week, change like night to day. It's really crazy, like the power that each of us have within ourselves to become a different person. In honesty, you can do it overnight if you really want to. Um, it's just like helping people realize how simple it is. I won't say it's easy because it's definitely not, but it is really simple to do. So that's definitely my favorite.
Excellent. And can you give us just a little of the backstory on how you got started in going down this path with where you're helping people and doing all the things you're doing?
Yeah, for sure. So, growing up, I was um pretty terrible. I wish I could say that it was otherwise, but it's not. I um treated everyone around me like they were worthless, like they were dirt. Um, and just made tons of really poor decisions. Had to fight through 5 different addictions. Um, had terrible relationships with my family. I wouldn't even have said like any of my siblings and I were friends at all, just because of how poorly I treated them. Um, and then I graduated high school, moved out. I moved across the country to start college, and um, just ended up getting kicked in the teeth over and over and over again by life. And eventually, about when I was 19, it finally clicked, and I was like, "Oh shoot, man! Like I'm headed worse than nowhere, right? Absolutely. Like the choices that I'm making are just not it. If I want my life to amount to anything, and I did want my life to amount to anything, so I realized that I needed to change ASAP, and it had to be huge, like crazy levels of change if I really wanted to get on track, like I thought that I wanted to. Um, and I wanted it badly enough that I did. I started changing right then, and um, I really I did tons of research, of self-education, and of study to figure out the best way to change, the best place to start, how to build the right systems and grow, and ultimately figured out um, that the best place to start to facilitate and make sure that your rate of change is as high as possible is to go out and work to obtain the attribute of meekness, which is not weakness. It's actually kind of 2 parts. There's I'll tell a story. There's a book called The Art of Horsemanship by a ancient Greek cavalry general named Xenophon. It's a real book. You can go look it up. And so the ancient Greeks, they would train their war horses to be meek. The common like the definition that we attach to meekness in today's society is just totally wrong. It's the exact opposite of what it really was, and really means. And so, like when you picture a war horse, you're like thinking like this big old horse, really muscly, all armored up, charging into battle, right? You're not thinking, "Oh, that's a meek horse," and think that that dude's weak, right? That's not what you picture when you picture a horse like that. Like that is a horse that's got power, that's got discipline, that's got strength under control, all of those things in crazy levels, right? Because they're literally charging to their deaths, more or less. I mean, ideally not, but that's battle, that's war, that's what happens. So, um, to have that strength under control, that's what meekness really is. Um, and is really interesting to study that attribute and realize like that it's the perfect facilitator to be able to change anything that you want to about yourself. And so that was the personal starting point for me, was going out and working to obtain meekness. So I have the humility to be able to learn from everyone and everything, and then the strength under control, the self-discipline to be able to immediately implement that knowledge that I'm learning in order to change. And that applies regardless of field, regardless of area of life, and makes it much what's the word I want to use? Much more possible, frankly. Um, like you can have all the knowledge in the world, right? And that's great. But if you don't have the discipline to get up off your butt off the couch and go do something with that knowledge, doesn't mean squat, right? You have to have both. You could have the cure for cancer, be a rocket scientist, know how to get to Mars, all that garbage. You could have that sitting in your head. But if you can't get your butt off the couch and stop watching TV, it doesn't mean anything. And so I realized that I wanted to and needed to have both if I really wanted to change to become the person that I wanted to be. And so that was a little bit where I started. And since then, I've just continued to do research, and I've built systems and tools, and learned system and tools that I've adapted for myself, that have really, really helped me to be able to change anything that I want to about myself. And I've done that. I've completely flipped the trajectory of my life over the last 5 years. I've had a six pack for the last 6 years, when before I was a little chubby, overweight, and I'm 24 and I have no debt, and I've got 20,000 plus in the bank, right? I don't think there's a lot of 24-year-olds who can say that. I don't think there's a lot of way above 24-year-olds who can say that. Um, and and I have healthy relationships with my family. I have friends who I love and trust. Um, I have I feel like I'm learning and growing every day. And I feel like I have a personal spiritual connection with God, or a higher power, whatever you want to call it, that really helps to strengthen and guide me. So it's really helped me to level up on in so many different ways and areas, and just change in so many ways that I needed to. And I've after doing that for the last 5 years or so, and helping a lot of friends find it as well, I decided to make it my life's career, because it's what I really love to do. So here I am.
I love it. And well, I know you've chosen to focus on social influencers. So tell us a little bit about how you decided to go in that route.
Yeah, for sure. So a couple months ago, I realized that my goal in coaching and helping people to change is specifically just to help as many people change to be better versions of themselves as possible. And I had a moment where I realized that if I can influence the influencers, then that will create a ripple effect that will trickle down to millions and millions of people. Because if I can help the influencers who are constantly putting content out that all of us are seeing to be better, then the contents, this is going to be funny, the contents of that content are going to be much higher quality. They're going to be more positive. They're going to be more beneficial for the audiences, and they're going to help all of those people change to be better as well. And so I realized that if my goal is to help change as many people change as possible, then that's going to be like social engineering that way is going to be the most effective and efficient way to achieve that goal.
Excellent. Well, and I know I do have one other person in the background here that I'll be bringing in just a moment. But before we do that, I want to make sure to give you a chance to share with everyone, how does a person reach you? Where would they find you? What's the best way to find out more about you and what you do?
Yeah, so probably the best way is just to reach out to me on Instagram. My username is Ask Max Baldoff. So it's AskMaxB as in boy, ALD as in dog, AUF as in Frank. Just shoot me a DM. We can chat it up there. I'd be happy to set up a call with anyone and go from there.
Excellent. All right, perfect. And you know what? The guy, the connector, the one who has brought us all together in so many ways. Kurt, come on in and say hello and join the conversation. How you doing tonight?
Doing good, doing good. Thanks for that introduction, Sue. You had me wondering how this was going to play out here because when you introduced Max, it was like, such an incredible gentleman and everything. It's like, whoa, she's going through all that and it's not me. Okay, way to go, Max. Done something today. So, so folks, I'm going to dive right in. In the adventures of Tom Sawyer, the core idea that somebody acting as expected simply has not had the experiences you have had is directly reflected in Tom's own mischievous nature and his constant desire to live life on his own terms, often surprising those around him, particularly his more grounded Aunt Polly, because they haven't had the same adventures or the same level of imagination as he has. Folks, I'm inspired by the legacy of Walt Disney and the Disney dynasty, and I am on this planet to surpass the influence that a gentleman like Walt Disney has had. I went to Epcot and I went to Disney World and I went to their presentation of the story of Walt Disney, and it definitely inspired me, folks. And it's with this Imagineering spirit that I am here today. And I continue to be inspired by gentlemen like Max here today. You heard a story about how Max is very self-aware of his earlier part in life. And I can tell folks that I even made sure to tell my daughter that I played the role of a bully in school days. And I did that for a very specific reason, folks. Because why did I take on bully behavior? I took it on because there were, some might say, unprocessed traumas. There were things unresolved in my life, and I was very defensive. And I talked about that a lot in my teenage years and in my college days. Sue heard me say it a lot in the first decade of knowing me about defense mechanisms. You put up the barrier, you put up a wall. It's not an open air between you. Folks, I came from a session that I routinely come from when I come here onto the TDC Today community show, and it's the open mind. And in the open mind program earlier, there was a reference to the law of success. And it referenced that feelings are a derivative of images. And I got to thinking, I'm here at the Disability Channel because the last decade, Sue and I, we've had a tremendous adventure. Not like Tom Sawyer's adventures. We've had our own adventure in the community of people with disabilities like I never allowed myself to have. It was a decade ago that I opened my life to the disability community like never before in my life. I'm 53 years old today. And so I tell the story. It took till I entered my 40s before I gained the wisdom on what may be there for me. And I took a chance on the disability community. It was the wisest thing I've ever done. And with Max here today, talk about influencing influencers. I want to team up with Max on doing that. I tell the story how when LinkedIn began, I just did the thing of collecting business cards. Then I'd come back to my device and I'd go to LinkedIn and I'd say, they might have a LinkedIn account. And I did that and I did that 5,000 times, folks. got 5,000 contacts from personal networking and guiding it through LinkedIn. And then I met the Happy Neighborhood Project. Woo-wee! Wow, meeting Edwin Edeberry, an influencer, spreading happiness around the world, recognized by the United Nations, spreading happiness around the world, and help the United Nations formulate what is International Day of Happiness. Because previous to the United Nations declaring March 20th as International Day of Happiness, he had already been running the Global Happiness Summit. And so he's our chief happiness officer, folks, and he brings us happiness as a default position. Happiness is a learnable skill. Happiness is a learnable skill movement. So we can come up with examples like this all day long and twice on Sunday. The idea is, yes, there is a power of one. We did a New Year's Day press conference earlier today, folks. The dawn of a new day, the solution revolution, the birth of a movement, all inspired from a gentleman, Richie Honori, a world-class drummer, a multi-pronged talent. He's gone on the stage also to sing and jam out with his guitar. And he is able to draw in multi-platinum talented music artists and to create this element of a music festival tour. He's attracting reality television production. And we're getting with a lot of global organizations. It's an organization called People for a New America. It's amazing what people are doing out there. And it is remarkable to think when we sit here a year from now, the growth we're all going to be able to share that we have experienced through our community experience. And so what I want to do is I want to come back to the idea of feelings are a derivative of images. Think of our friends out there that are blind or visually impaired. Think about the idea of feelings and images. A splice of an experience. We're talking about not having the experience of another person. That's the opportunity we have here, folks. Max is sharing with us a little glimpse of his experiences and how he's applying it to help influencers, influencing influencers. That's a tremendous objective. I want to influence influencers. I want to create a world where we look at 8 billion people on the planet and we are better at functionally carrying out how life on earth works. When we look at our faith life, our service life, our lifelong learning, our participation in with our government and agencies, how we are productive members of society, and how we do all the fun things. We are at this show, folks, because Sue and I love water skiing, and we recognize that there's a lot of people out there who haven't had the water ski adventures as the Roscoff family, and we wanted to share those adventures. And we are so excited to always share how we helped the state of Wisconsin more than sextuple the access to the sport of water skiing in 6 years, thanks to thousands of people that come together under the Wisconsin Water Ski Federation, attracting the likes of the Rockford, Illinois Ski Broncs, just south of the border. And we had people traveling from Florida, the water ski capital of the world, to help us do it. And we got comments from all across the nation and other places in the world with the International Water Ski and Wakeboard Federation. It gave us a glimpse to the power of one. It started with one gentleman who was denied the opportunity that Sue and I set up for a water ski show. And then we had a couple of our friends come over and say no to the water ski show for our community member with a disability. That is the moment in time that changed the trajectory of the Roscoff family forever. And it has truly inspired us to take this experience to the billions of people around the world. Because when I look at 53 years of life, there are so many ways that literally everyone in my life, in some way or another, has had some reflection of this possibility to bridge the ability gap, that false rift between people that don't declare a disability to people that do declare a disability, the 2 billion people on planet Earth that resemble what we're trying to share here at the Disability Channel. And reaching for that relationship with the other 6 billion people on the planet. So I want to get with all the influencers in the world and make that a thing that we live in unity, peace, and freedom, and provide that independence in the way it ought to be functionally in global public inclusive infrastructure, web content accessibility guidelines, universal design, with assistive technology, accessible equipment. All these things that Sue and I learned so much about in the last 10 years that was there since the day I was born in 1971. And then I think about the passing of ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, in 1990, and how that made available quite a dramatic change. But when I think back, it actually was a little lackluster. It was a tremendous nudge for me forward. And at that time, I considered it very significant, but it could have been 33 times bigger than it was. So you want to talk about the power of influence? Let's do this, folks. Let's look at what we offer to people with disabilities on this planet, and let's make it 3,300 times more. Do I have you? Did I influence you at all? Watching and listening to me by the power of my voice. Hear me now and believe me later. Let's do it, folks. Back to you, Sue.
So, well, and I know we are coming up on the end here. Max, I just want to give you a chance if you had any final thoughts that you'd like to share.
What Kurt said was right on the money. Everyone has the power to change, even whether you've got disabilities, whether you don't. You have so much more control over your life and the circumstances of it than you think you do. And I would just encourage anyone and everyone to take control. There are going to be some things that are going to be a lot harder for some people to accomplish than others. But the first step is to just identify what you want. Figure out what you want your life to be like. And once you have a crystal clear image of that, then you can work. And you've got that why, then you can work to make sure that that change is happening in the ways that you need it to.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Max. This has been so much fun tonight. This is a great way to start out the year, thinking about how change can happen and what it takes to make that happen. So, Max, thank you so much for being here. Kurt, Emily, as always, for all of us here with the TDC Today Show,